What happens to democracies when gangsters run governments? Subscribe to find out how Donald Trump is doing this to our country, and it's becoming a worldwide trend. Thugocracy. You know, I'm not sure this is a word or if I'm inventing a word, but it seems like thugocracy is the new model for nations, right? It's been elevated from a few obscure little countries all the way to the United States of America, where we have a thug in the White House right now. And I mean, even Matt Gaetz, the Republican congressman who tried to stare down Michael Cohen yesterday and tweeted to him that his wife would not be faithful to him while he was in prison, and then yesterday was overheard talking to Trump in Hanoi, saying, "Yeah, I'm glad I was able to do it for you." I mean, these guys are thugs. And Michael Cohen said yesterday that Trump was not joking when he said he could kill people, and on top of that, that if he did kill somebody on Fifth Avenue, his supporters would stand with him, that this was not a joke. Well, actually, Trump has already done that. He's already killed people. His so-called zero tolerance policy has already killed 2 little children, a 7-year-old boy and an 8-year-old girl, as I recall. And the Jerry Falwells of the world still support him. His stuck in Fox News land acolytes still support him. Cohen said that Trump supporters, in addition, would start a second U.S. civil war. We'll get to both of those in just a second. Thugs all over the world have been doing this for a long time. And now we have the President of the United States, who has spent 2 years praising specifically these thugs and sucking up to them, leaders of countries that have been progressively moving away from democracy and toward oligarchy, oligarchy and autocracy, strongmen, Bashir, Kim, Duterte, Putin, Bolsinaro, suggesting to these people, Trump telling these people that they should continue with campaigns, terror campaigns in some cases, against their own people, their destruction of the free press, anything left of democracy in their regions. Of all the reasons to impeach this mob boss in the White House, Donald Trump, this, in my opinion, is the strongest. The United States, we need to step back from the edge of being a thugocracy. And that begins with nullifying the corrupted election of 2016, in my humble opinion. Here's Michael Cohen talking about how he thinks that if Donald Trump loses the election in 2020, he will not leave office peacefully. Now, keep in mind, the last time we had a concern like this was in the election of 1800. When Jefferson won over John Adams, and Adams had just passed the Alien Sedition Acts and was literally throwing people in prison for criticizing him in the newspapers and shutting down newspapers. I mean, John Adams was moving us in that direction. And Jefferson won the election, and there was a serious concern. This is why it was referred to as the American Revolution of 1800. In fact, Dan Sisson wrote a book, and I contributed to it, of that title. There was a serious concern. And is Michael Cohen saying that, is this something like that? Well, listen, check this out.
Given my experience working for Mr. Trump, I fear that if he loses the election in 2020, that there will never be a peaceful transition of power. And this is...
that's scary, serious stuff. Coming from a guy, and he goes on to say, this is based on, having worked with this guy, known this guy for a decade. He's characterizing Donald Trump as somebody who is not like a mob boss, is a mob boss. Somebody who destroys other people and delights in it. Somebody who rules with fear. Somebody who gets everybody around him to lie for him every single day. And he's now, Trump himself lying, a dozen times or more a day, every single day. And now he's got the entire Republican Party doing it. And, and Cohen also, talking about, Trump said he could kill people. He actually it was not a metaphor. Here it goes.
And when Mr. Trump turned around early in the campaign and said, I can shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it, I want to be very clear. He's not joking. He's telling you the truth. He said, you don't know him. I do.
You don't know him. I do. He could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and get away with it. And Trump didn't just say he'd get away with it. He said that his supporters would continue to support him. I mean, how can this not be a thugocracy? And what do we do with this? I mean, obviously a call for impeachment, but, that's going to be a heavy lift. You're going to have 2/3 of the senators agree to impeach Donald Trump, which means that the Republicans are going to have to, well, who knows? I mean, a lot's going to depend, I suppose, on what is found in these hearings. And apropos of that, it's not one of the other points that Michael Cohen made yesterday was that it's not just Donald Trump. It's the Trump crime family. It's Donald, it's Ivanka, it's Jared, it's Don Jr., and Eric. And presumably Eric's wife, Laura, who does, a lot of the PR for the Trump administration, runs her own little TV show on the internet for him. And now you've got, Ivanka coming out on Fox News talking to Steve Hilton, Fox host, about the Green New Deal. And the Green New Deal has basically a guarantee of a job in it. If you can't get a job in the private sector, the government will put you to work. Well, that's what the New Deal did. That was the core of the New Deal. If you can't find a job, the government will be the employer of last resort. And Ivanka Trump says, I think that this idea of a guaranteed minimum is not something most people want. They want the ability to be able to secure a job. They want the ability to live in a country where there's a potential for upward mobility. Elizabeth Spears is writing about this over at the Washington Post today. The headline, Ivanka Trump doesn't understand work. No one in the Trump administration does. The obvious consequences of putting people who are born rich in charge of the government. The simple fact of the matter is that Ivanka Trump is living on money that she inherited from her grandfather through her father. 3 generations of inherited wealth, or 2 generations of inherited wealth, 3 generations of wealth, and she's lecturing us on how we all would really rather just be out there, just thrown out into the labor market and just pedal as fast as you can and get whatever you can, and that sort of thing. This is what's going on. This is the Republican Party now. It's the party of this extraordinary elite snobbery of people born to extraordinary wealth, looking down their nose at us and lecturing us on how, well, health care? How am I supposed to pay for that? I'm a billionaire. You want to raise my taxes? I'm not going to put up with that. You think you should deserve health care? Come on, health care is not a right, it's a privilege. A job is not a right, it's a privilege. Housing, clothing, food, those are privileges. You have to work for those, and you won't work for those unless you're scared and hungry and starving, because that's the billionaire credo, is you got to scare the crap out of average working people, or else they won't do whatever the billionaire tells them to do. I should say right-wing billionaire. I realize there's some very good left-wing billionaires out there, but you get what I'm saying. The conservatives, let's say. Meanwhile, I get an email from Donald Trump and another one today. And I guess he's writing emails while he's flying home from kissing Kim Jong-un's butt. But Dane Winkler called me out on this on Twitter. This is great. And I got the same email. Dane's said friend. Mine says Fred. Fred, liberal mega donors with their endless bank accounts are already maxing out to 2020 Democrats. If we want to keep the White House in 2020, we have to reach our critical, all caps, February end of month goal to keep pace. We don't have liberal mega donors like Michael Bloomberg, George Soros, or Jeff Bezos fueling our campaign. We have something better. We have Fred from Oregon, Jessica from Ohio, Stacy from Wisconsin, and thousands of other American patriots who support our incredible movement with small dollar donations. We're currently $340,178 short of our critical February event of the month goal, and we need you to contribute any amount you can to help put us over the top. Today, together, American patriots are much more powerful than the liberal mega donors. Please make your critical end of month contribution of any amount before 11:59 p.m. tonight, and it will be triple matched. Okay, so we have Fred from Oregon. I swear to God, it's not me. I had to tweet back to what's his name, Dane, saying, it's not me. I swear. I sent him $5 4 years ago. He's still begging for money from me. And probably everybody else on his list. Anyhow, do you think that there's going to be a peaceful transition if Donald Trump loses the 2020 election? Do you think it's actually possible that he could even call out to his well-armed right-wing militia buddies and say, time for a civil war? I mean, have we gotten to that? Is that even possible?